Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. And what a beautiful place I am in the middle of. I mean, this is all just but beautiful, tall pine trees out here. Kind of looks like my home when I grew up. Kind of funny, not that many trees. But anyway, I love you and I hope you're getting out in nature like Starlight is. Plus, you can, if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome, and you could find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you can give my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't be afraid, don't be shy, swing by and say hi to Starlight. And that is, you can leave me a message down below, beep, 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 and you could share my videos with your family, your friends. How about a woodpecker? How much wood would a woodpeck? No, actually. So yes, a woodpecker. And what else? Deer. We're going to say deer. Starlight's going to make a fort out here somewhere. Just kidding, it rhymes with deer. But yes, you could share my videos with the animals, and you could check out my playlist. Plus, you could find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook at Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. So anyway, a big, huge thank you to all of you who have been here, love and support in Starlight. I really appreciate all of you. And if you would like to send some love to Starlight by doing that on Cash App, you can, and I will have the information on this video. Alrighty, so tonight's video is about, are you overwhelmed? And you know, I don't care how long you've been here in life, we all are going to have those moments of being overwhelmed where, you know, like shit happens, and you know, sometimes shit happens and then more shit happens and more shit happens. So and the worst thing you can do is, you know, be afraid, you know, that fear, and not being positive. So it's so important, no matter what kind of shit happens and more shit that happens, is, you know, it's all up here mentally. Is number one is that you have to, you know, I have to say, my brother, he was into wrestling and karate when I was growing up, and one thing he taught me is, if you can control the head, you can control the body. So same here, as, you know, you can control your thoughts, you know, you could control all those, you know, when you're stressed out, isn't it uncomfortable when you're worried and stressed out, and now you got anxiety, and now you can't think straight, you know, to even make any choices, you know, whatever you're going through, or make any decisions, because now your nervous system is, you know, and this what ends up happening is when people are overwhelmed, you know, they end up taking out on their loved ones, you know, their husband or their wife or their girlfriend or boyfriend or their, you know, parents or those kind of family, or even their kids. They get overwhelmed by, you know, so much going on all at once, you know, and this can happen to all of us, you know, and it does take some time to adjust and say, wait a minute, you know, just to sit with this for a little bit, that feeling. And to pause, you know, it's really important to pause and not to hurry up, you know, and try to make haste decisions, because that's when you're going to make a freaking mess out of, you know, what you're going through. Is now you're going to make the wrong choices, because you can't even think clear, you can't even see clear to what is, you know, what to do and how to handle the situation that you're going through. So, and the other thing is to stay in the now. You must stay in the now. You know, and sometimes things, you know, we could be in the past, you know, and not in the present moment, or we could be worrying about the future and letting everything get the best of us, where a lot of times that fear, it's stuff that we're creating in our headspace, because we're not really trusting in God, that God's going to help us. But you got to pray for help. I can't really yell out here because Starlight doesn't want to get caught. Where's Starlight? Help! I probably will have people coming in here helping me out, but that's not what we want, because Starlight's making a video. But yes, the more you pray, but you got to be patient with God. You know, God doesn't just like, boom, give you an answer. So you got to be patient and trust in the process. It's so important. And to remember is, are you overdoing it? You know, this happens to all of us at some point in our life, is that we're overdoing it. And what do I mean by overdoing it? Starlight, what do you mean by overdoing it? There's times that we might have a certain amount of time. And this, all through the year, I know people, no matter what time of the year I call them up, guess what? They're always busy doing something. There might be times that when I call them up, it's really hard to have a good conversation with them because they're in the middle of doing something. So do you think that you're going to get their full concentration on anything that you're saying? Not really. The conversation is like talking to yourself, because no matter what time of the year, they're always in the middle of doing something. And so those, we do need to take a break at times, and say, hey, loved ones are calling. Let me just put this aside for now. Let me just focus on this person because they took the time out to give me a call, And, people get stressed out because they have to go to work, and then they got shit that they got to deal with at the house, especially if you own a home. Or what happens is, even if you might not own a home, but you might have people that always need you. Because why? Because you're the one that will jump up and help, and they know that. So they're not going to call up somebody that never helps out. No, they're going to call somebody that's always there. So you don't want to get overwhelmed with, all the commands, that you got, going on. Like springtime, a lot of people all around the United States, I don't know about outside of the United States, but their life is different depending on, I have never traveled outside of the United States, so I don't know what it's like out there. I only could speak for in the United States. So springtime, everybody's doing spring cleaning, brush, all this stuff. And, then the kids are in school, they're going to start school later on in summer, they're in school. So there's a lot going on, and a lot of times we're not even aware of it, that we're, we got this big list of things to do in a day, but guess what? There's no freaking way you're going to do it all in one day. So that's why, sometimes you focus on really the most important things, and don't overwhelm yourself, even like through the whole year, is don't overwhelm yourself thinking that you got to get all of this done at a certain time. And that's where, it can cause so much anxiety and stress, and you might not even be aware of how much anxiety and stress it's causing. Because if you are worried about stuff, and you're just like, it's always going to be on your head and your mind, and then when you go to bed, guess what? You're going to rewind, and stress out even when you're sleeping. So that's when you know that you're overdoing it, and you need to slow down, and you need to take a chill pill. Sometimes, if you can ask people for help. Or if you can do this, is to, hire somebody to give you a hand, so it's not so much work and so much of a demand on you, if you can. If you're that type of person that would hire somebody, yes, it's going to cost a lot of money. And yes, that's another added stress, right? And that's why you don't want to add too much. Focus on really the most important things. You might have to let that sit there a while. Yeah, I know you want to get all that done. I know people that, I got family members that they've had trees that fell down. They're tall trees like these ones here. And they just fell down in the wintertime, because it's the storms and the snow landing on the trees. And that's happened throughout my whole childhood, all the way, you get the shade, but then, the danger of the tree falling down on your house or on your car, where, what? They couldn't do it all in one day. They only could, jump at it, do so much each day, and then the weather, and it's about not overloading yourself up with too many demands, not to even like your plate of food, don't try to, put too much on your plate and then you're full and you can't even eat it all. And then where do you stick it? In the you threw your food in the garbage? Don't let Starlight know this stuff, man. Don't let Starlight. That's, so same thing with like not overloading your plate with too much food is same thing in the daytime is, don't add so much, because you only got so many hours in the day, and depending on your schedule with work, is you got to relax and you got to ask, God for help, and there's some stuff it could sit, who cares what people think, about what you're doing. And, so there's times, definitely many times, I want to get all this done in one day. Guess what? It's not going to happen. So focus on, like look at that list and focus, just put the most important ones on the top. Get yourself to realize it's okay if I don't get everything done. I'm just going to focus on the main important things. Don't get stressed out. Say, you know what, that other stuff can, at another time. So there's times in our life, and this is hard. It is really tough to do this. We want to get so much done in a short period of time. We don't want to look at it anymore. And that's why it's so important to, keep up on stuff when it's there and not to let it sit around and where things pile up. That's a big, huge problem with people. When I used to clean for people in their houses, they were letting things pile up. The dishes were piling up. The clothes were piling up. They took too many breaks. They were actually, not being responsible of the stuff that they had going on. Now, there's sometimes people get sick and they have no choice but to let it slide. And that's why it's so important, to take care of all your stuff. When, I did this a long time ago. It was really hard to do this. But say if you're a person, the Starlight used to do this. Now I don't know what I do because I'm not in a house, but I would, at nighttime when I get done with work, when I'm ready for getting my jammies on, get ready for my bath, because Starlight was a person that liked to take a bath before bed. That way I'm all nice and clean. My bed is all clean. And so I had a habit of just taking my clothes off and just throwing it on the floor. There's definitely a lot of times that those clothes, they weren't that dirty. I only wore them a couple hours. So, instead of throwing them on the floor, is take care of them right away. And that goes with everything in the house, and this will save you a lot of stress later on. Yes, you think it's a lot of stress then because you got to face it then, with dishes. Don't, there's that saying is don't put off tomorrow what you can do today, So there's times that people want to relax and they might want to have their wine. They might want to have their, maybe there's some smoke, like marijuana, or go to people's houses. Take care of your stuff. You want to take care of things in your house. And, you got to kind of be, responsible and taking care of these things as they happen, like dishes. There's a lot of people that have dishwashers. I am the dishwasher. Starlight is not a dishwasher fan. Can I clean the dishes instead of sticking them in the washing machine? The disher, not the washing machine, but the dishwasher. Starlight would rather just let me get those clean, instead of sticking them in the dishwasher. So it's so important. But if you use a dishwasher, when you get done eating, of course, there you go. You're going to rinse all the dishes off and put it in the dishwasher, And then a lot of times you're not going to have enough dishes in there to do the load. So then those are going to sit in there. But it's best to do things right away. That way things don't pile up. And then later on, you don't get so stressed out because now, if you don't do your dishes right away and you don't rinse them off, is that it's a nightmare to do dishes, right? Now it's all caked on. You got, especially if you have macaroni and cheese. Ooh, macaroni and cheese. Woo. There's certain foods, they stick all over on the dishes. So really take care of the things when you're going through it at the time. And like I was saying, is that I was having a hard time before. Is like when I took my clothes off is that I was training myself to, when I take my clothes off, take care of them. Don't just throw them on the floor. When I take them off, take care of them. Where do they belong? Dirty clothes, put them in the dirty clothes. So, and then I always wanted, sometimes I was going to say something then that's not true. I like to have my clothes, figured out, the day before, the night before, so then I can iron them the next day. This is what I'm going to wear tomorrow. Okay, I got this set, and I would put it on my iron board. That way, the next day, I already know what I'm going to wear because I know where I got to go. So the more that you do, and like as it comes, like cleaning a bathroom, when it's ready to clean the bathroom, you want to do it right away, when the time is. You don't want it to sit and wait, because then it's harder and it takes longer to clean up. So those are things that you can do, but also there's a lot of times that you're only going to do a little bit at a time, just a little bit more today. Tomorrow, guess what? You just add a little bit more, and the next day, just a little bit more. Don't overwhelm yourself with trying to do too many things all in one day, because it's not good for your body, your mind, your emotions, and all that. You don't want to be in the middle of the night, and Starlight's been there many times, tossing and turning, because you didn't get everything done. And now you're upset with yourself. God wants you to love yourself. Don't worry about it. Do the best that you can do, but it is best to, you can make your life a whole lot easier. I know a lot of people, they add more work to their load. They actually make more work, and it really does matter of the order that you do things, because I know people, man, I don't even want to work with them, because you know what? They give me more work than, because their work ethics are not good. Starlight's got that down, so you want to make sure that you're doing things wise, so you're not giving yourself more work, so you got to think, oh, what should I do first? And do that, because if you're not, you getting all stressed out and doing things in the wrong order, you're going to give yourself so much extra work. So a little bit each day is going to take you further than what you think. So anyway, I love you so much, and you can give this video a thumbs up, and do some meditations, get out in nature, and that's going to help you to release that stress, and ask God to help you out. You got to be able to focus and concentrate on those things, and understand what is the most important things that you want to work on. What makes more sense to work on that thing first. Other things can wait at another time. Don't overwhelm yourself. Give yourself a break. Don't beat yourself up because I didn't get it all done. It wasn't going to happen. So anyway, I love you so much. This is Starlight. You could give this video a thumbs up. You can leave me a message down below. And you could share my videos with your family, your friends, some geese, and some ducks. Plus, you could check out my Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. I love you all. So don't sweat the small stuff. Focus on what's the most important things. Even if you got to ask help, do you help other people out? Maybe it's time for you to ask for help. So anyway, I love you. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.